8 Star Trek Vulcans who lost control of their emotions. For centuries, Vulcans have prided themselves on suppressing emotions, embracing logic as the guiding force of their culture. But even the most disciplined minds occasionally slip. Across the Star Trek franchise, Vulcan characters, whether heroes, villains, or background figures, have shown cracks in their emotional armor. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes love, sometimes fear. But it always reminds us that beneath the serene exterior lies a deeply passionate species. Here are 8 Vulcans who lost control of their emotions in unforgettable ways. 1. Spock in Amok Time, the original series. The most iconic example of Vulcan emotion comes in Star Trek, the original series, when Spock undergoes Pon farr, the biological mating drive. Torn between tradition and his loyalty to Captain Kirk, Spock battles his inner turmoil until it bursts out violently. His duel with Kirk is one of the most emotional moments in Vulcan history, driven not by logic but by primal instinct. What makes this so powerful is how Spock, usually the model of restraint, succumbs to passion in front of his closest friends. Tuvok in Mel Voyager. Tuvok, Voyager's resident Vulcan, is perhaps the most disciplined of his kind. Yet in the episode Mel, he mind melds with a sociopathic murderer, hoping to understand the criminal's lack of remorse. Instead, Tuvok absorbs the man's violent impulses. The normally calm security officer lashes out, even threatening to kill crew members. This chilling display reveals that Vulcan discipline is not invulnerability, it's a constant battle. Tuvok's breakdown illustrates the thin line Vulcans walk every day. 3. Sarek in Journey to Babel, the original series. Spock's father, Ambassador Sarek, is one of the most respected Vulcans in the Federation. But even he has moments when emotions overwhelm him. In Journey to Babel, his illness and the stress of political negotiations cause him to lash out, particularly at Spock. His frustration, tinged with disappointment, shows through despite his attempts to hide it. Later series like The Next Generation explore this further, revealing that Sarek's age and illness eroded his emotional control, leaving him vulnerable to outbursts. For T'Pol throughout Enterprise. Unlike many Vulcans portrayed before her, T'Pol in Star Trek, Enterprise frequently wrestles with her emotions. Her time among humans exposes her to feelings she struggles to suppress, from compassion for Captain Archer to frustration with human logic. Her eventual addiction to Trillium D, used to protect the ship from anomalies, further damages her emotional control, leaving her volatile and vulnerable. T'Pol demonstrates that Vulcan stoicism isn't absolute, and proximity to emotional beings can erode even the strongest walls. 5. Siren in The Forge Enterprise. The Vulcan Siren is the keeper of Sarek's Catcher, the essence of the father of Vulcan logic. But even with such a noble burden, Siren shows flashes of passion, particularly in his desperation to protect Sarek's teachings from corruption. His urgency and intensity contrast with the usual cool detachment of Vulcans. Siren's emotions are rooted in conviction and faith, showing that Vulcan spirituality can sometimes blur the lines between logic and feeling. 6. Turing in Strange New World. In Strange New World, Spock's fiancée Turing gets far more character development than she did in the original series. Despite her composed demeanor, she reveals strong emotional undercurrents, jealousy, affection, and frustration, all directed at her complicated relationship with Spock. In episodes like Spock Amok, Turing's arguments with Spock are charged with passion, even if couched in logical terms. She illustrates that Vulcans, especially in matters of the heart, can't fully escape their emotions. 7. Vorik in Blood Fever, Voyager. Vorik, a young Vulcan engineer on Voyager, suffers the onset of Pon farr in Blood Fever. When Belanda Torres refuses his advances, his desperation turns into aggression, culminating in a physical confrontation. His lack of control not only endangers Torres, but also highlights the darker side of Vulcan biology. Unlike Spock's dignified struggle, Vorik's breakdown feels reckless, a reminder that not all Vulcans manage their instincts with equal success. 8. Sibuk in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Perhaps the most radical Vulcan in Star Trek history, Sibuk fully embraces emotion rather than suppressing it. Rejecting Sarek's teachings, he preaches the power of sharing and releasing pain. This makes him charismatic, but also dangerously manipulative. His emotional intensity sways followers, including members of the Enterprise crew. While many Vulcans view him as heretical, Sibuk embodies the idea that Vulcans are not devoid of passion. They've simply chosen a path that denies it. Why Vulcan emotion matters. What makes these moments so compelling is that they break the stereotype. Vulcans are not robots. They're beings of deep feeling who have chosen logic as a survival mechanism. When they falter, the stakes feel higher because their whole culture is built on self-control. Each emotional slip, whether Spock's primal urges, Tuvok's violent outburst, or T'Pol's vulnerability, reminds us that Vulcans are defined not by their lack of emotion, but by their constant struggle with it. Star Trek thrives on exploring the human condition, and Vulcans provide a mirror for our own struggles with reason in